We are here in Sicily now and later on in Tunisia with the project Boats4People to protest against the death in the Mediterranean. This death is a consequence of the immigration policy of EU, mainly pushed by the border agency Frontex to externalize the border control to the south and the east, or even to the neighboring countries of EU. And okay, we criticize very sharp this policy, and our demands are freedom of movement. But we also know that this policy, this externalization policy, is part of a wider frame of exploitation policy, you can say. It's part of a selective inclusion, which means that certain immigrants, mainly the poor, the older, the younger, who are not so easily to exploit in the labor market, should be outside. But the governments know and tolerate, and it's functional for the system, that young migrants can do it and can enter EU, and they can be exploited in the low-wage sectors all over Europe, in the agriculture, in the services, in a lot of these low-wage labor sections. And this is what we call selective inclusion, and to explain that this immigration policy has to be understood in a wider frame of the precarization of also the European countries.
Stop Frontex, freedom of movement. I met a week ago Abu Kurka in Amsterdam, and Abu Kurka was one of the survivors of the Boat to Die, and the Boat to Die was the boat that in 2011 from the coast of Libya was drifting for 2 weeks with a broken engine with 73 people, and they sent messages out, distress calls, and the whole area was with lots of boats from NATO and Frontex. They received the messages. The people in the migrant boat came across two boats, one French Navy boat, and they talked to each other, and they even received some water. And the Navy people said, "We'll come back." And they left, and they didn't come back. And after 2 weeks, the boat was washed away to the shore of Libya, back to Libya, and 62 people died from the 73. So Abu was one of the survivors, and I met him. He made a complaint against the French army under the name of Boats4People, and he supports our action here. So next step is to go to Tunisia, and we hope we can make a strong statement against the border control, and in solidarity with the migrants and with the people that support the migrants, and also against the EU agency for border control, Frontex, which is active here in the street of Sicily. And we also come to support the migrant movements in North Africa, and also coming to Europe. And this is our aim for this action, and I hope we will succeed.
Je suis ici en Europe comme réfugié, et j'ai suivi aussi la route migratoire. Comme vous savez, aujourd'hui toutes les barrières sont fermées, Et il est difficile même d'accéder dans un pays où on peut demander l'asile. Alors on est obligé d'emprunter des routes toujours très difficiles et aussi où on court trop de risques dans ces routes-là. Alors j'ai été une fois au Maroc et de là je me suis engagé dans la lutte pour la défense des droits et libertés des réfugiés et demandeurs d'asile et de migrants subsahariens vivant au Maroc. Et j'avais créé une organisation qui s'appelait ARCOM, qui signifie Association des réfugiés et demandeurs d'asile congolais au Maroc. Et à travers cette association, nous avons mené des luttes contre les politiques européennes. Alors, ce sont des politiques qui consistent à bloquer les gens pour que les gens ne puissent pas accéder sur les territoires européens. Alors, il y a des murs qui sont construits, il y a des barrières, il y a donc tout un arsenal de mesures qui sont prises pour que les gens ne puissent pas accéder sur les territoires. Alors nous nous sommes dit, mais nous ne pouvons pas croiser les bras. Il y a des refoulements, l'Europe signe des accords de réadmission, des accords de gestion des frontières avec les pays africains. Et nous nous disons, on ne peut pas croiser les bras, nous devons lutter. Pourquoi? Parce que la migration, c'est d'abord un droit fondamental qui est aussi reconnu dans la Déclaration universelle des droits de l'homme. À l'article 13, il est dit que toute personne a le droit de quitter et de revenir dans son pays. Donc, je peux quitter mon pays, aller dans un autre pays, m'y établir et je peux aussi retourner dans mon pays quand je veux. Alors, on ne peut pas empêcher quelqu'un d'émigrer. Donc nous disons non contre toutes les politiques que l'Europe est en train de mener contre la migration. Nous sommes contre toutes ces politiques-là. C'est ainsi que nous avons mené des luttes et au travers de cette lutte, je me retrouve encore ici en Europe. Je me suis dit, je ne vais pas croiser les bras puisque je suis arrivé en Europe. Non, au contraire, je dois encore m'investir davantage dans la lutte parce que le même problème que nous avons rencontré dans le pays comme le Maroc, l'Algérie, nous trouvons encore le même problème ici en Europe, c'est-à-dire qu'il n'y a pas le respect des droits et libertés des réfugiés et des migrants. Alors nous sommes dit, nous devons encore lutter pour que les droits des réfugiés, les droits des migrants soient respectés partout dans le monde entier.
We are doing these actions here with Boats4People because we want to protest against these policies of the European Union, against the death on the sea, which are mainly have as a cause this policy of closing the borders, of externalization of refugee policy and of inhuman treatment of migrants and not giving them the freedom of movement, which should be a right all over this world. And we are just commemorating all these deaths on the sea tonight, and we think this is very important because all these are human beings. Some have names, of some the names are not even known, and many people don't think about this. If they hear numbers like 1,500 people drowned in the sea, in the Mediterranean Sea, only in 2011. This is the highest number ever in the past years, and it has to do with these European policies, with Frontex, with refusing help, with refusing assistance to people who migrate and who flee from their countries and who see no other way than using these boats.
I've just been here hearing all these names of people who died, and I feel very much ashamed that I'm a European citizen and that the European policy is so strict and is causing all these deaths of people who try to come to Europe. And for me, I would like to live in a world where everyone can freely move and everyone is free to go where he or she wants to go and to stay where he or she wants to stay. And I think in a world like that, there would be a lot less suffering and a lot less dying in migration.
Talking about European migration policy, For me, already is the question: why are so many people trying to get into Europe, especially from the global south, like talking about Africa? And yeah, for sure, it's because the economic situation in these countries is kind of bad and poor. Poverty is pretty big, and the future they trying to get here, trying to get a better future here. But it has to be mentioned that the European economy policy and the export policy are contributing to the destruction of local economics in southern countries, and which is an important fact actually, because if you're here as activists, we are trying to put some attention on this topic, migration, but we're rarely actually talking about the reasons why people are trying to come to Europe. And now at least being here at these borders in Sicily, for example, these injustice is getting clearer and clearer, and in my opinion, Europe has no rights in order to refuse any people from the south to get here, trying to have a better life, as long as Europe is not really supporting or at least stopping these injustice export and economic policies.